On behalf of the development team of Campus Delaware, I too would like to welcome you to Terschelling. This week, you are on one of the most beautiful islands and will get to work on one of the most special development locations in the Netherlands. But more about that later. My name is Johan Thijssen. I'm responsible for the real estate development on behalf of NL Stenden University. And well, I'm really sorry that I cannot be with you today due to a stay abroad. But I hope to make it up for you next week. Tuesday I will come to the island to answer your questions and give any feedback in advance. But for now, it will have to be via this video. I made a short presentation for you, which I want to tell about the background of this project. And at the end of the presentation, I would like to present you the assignment we have for you. Okay, let's start. I go to another scene, try to show you everything. Okay, it was in February 2020 when I was back on the boat with the board of NL Stenden. And we had 2 hours to think about the future of the old campus. Now, then, 2 years ago, a new residence for students for the maritime studies was put into use. So the old campus became vacant. And it's located at the end of the Delaware. It includes the old Hotel Victoria, het gebouw op palen, the building on stilts, when you translate that, the commander's house, and maybe you see it in the top of this, the square house, residence Kaars. It was on this boat trip we thought of creating a kind of international center for climate adaptation here, so that students, researchers, companies can collaborate here on issues related to climate change in relation to coasts and sea, water and human activity on an island. However, the campus site is larger than just the properties we will be managing ourselves. Actually, the entire island is our campus with its forests, dunes, wet dune valleys, bosplaat, farmlands, villages and of course the salt marshes and the mud floods. In the immediate vacancy of the physical campus, there are a hotel, the Westcourt Hotel, the Stay OK Hotel, the Tonne Lodge, which will become an exhibition center and a meeting location, the Nautical School we're now at this moment, and a research ship, and the Jutfabriek, that's a company dedicated to processing and using washed up plastic. The campus buildings are located in a very special environment. It's the Wadden Sea is a Nature 2000 area. It's a World Heritage Site. And they are located outside the dike. That is outside the protection of a seawall. So such as dikes or the dunes. So left on the side you see those dunes, the natural protection from the sea. Left you see the salt marsh and the original landscape. And in between on the lawns there are our buildings we are redeveloping. The area here is protected by a hard shoreline made of concrete blocks. And the question we ask also to you is whether it is possible to make this coastline natural again and also turn into a salt marsh. This will change the landscape, of course. It will create space for natural vegetation and create a new habitat for birds and other animals. And it may be possible to remove the dike at the site of the yellow line. And the same environment, I'll show you the next slide, the same environment but now from a different perspective. On this slide you can see the difference between the salt marsh, and which is regularly inundated by salt water, and the grassland protected by the shoreline of concrete. At this moment, we are currently writing a selection guide for the international architect selection. The old buildings will be replaced or reused. That is possible too. On the left you see het gebouw op palen, the building on stilts. In the middle of it you see former Hotel Victoria, and on the right side you see the commander's house. The buildings, especially Hotel Victoria, suffer from concrete rot. The grounds are cluttered and no longer up to standard. And the building on stilts, well, it's still in use, but it's in really very poor condition, and the building is using a lot of energy. Okay, when you see the other direction, looking in the other direction, you see one of the most beautiful, and for bird migration, one of the most important deltas in the world. An area where there still is much to learn and much to explore. So the place calls for a very high quality, iconic architecture. Buildings that will use studios, labs, sleeping quarters for about 100 students and researchers, and buildings that will be built entirely bio-based and whose carbon footprint per student or per overnight stay is as small as possible. So that includes a salt marsh landscape, a landscape that then is protected but also will be used by mankind, by students, but also by inhabitants of the Schelling, tourists, and Oerol visitors. Every year during Oerol, the Schelling transforms into a culture and artistic open-air festival, for which this place can become a nice performance venue. That use seems contradictory, and part of it is, of course, but therefore the question we will ask you is, arrange a landscape with the greatest respect for nature and show that by adding elements in the landscape, it can be used by man. Elements that match the nature of the use of the campus. Study, research, recreation, and of course art and culture. In short, an environment where science and culture and recreation meet. But we do have also some conditions for you, for the layout of this site. And it's this one. Arrange the landscape for us. For students, for research goals, for leisure, for culture and for art. And use only material that is bio-based, it's from the island, it's absolutely renewable and carbon neutral. So your arranging cannot have a negative impact on this area. Not during the construction and not during use. Oh. Yeah, there I am. Well, actually I hope this assignment is inspiring for you. And I'm really very curious of the final result. For now, I wish you a very nice and pleasant stay at the Schelling. And I'm really looking forward to see you next Tuesday. Next Tuesday I will be on the island, as I told you. And I hope for very nice weather and good conditions for you to study and to have a very nice and good time. See you then.